So I got asked a really good question about the leg extension, and this only applies in the length and ranges. However, I don't want you to apply this to every exercise and do it really randomly. And if you do, I want you to put it into your actual notes itself, because otherwise we don't have something progressive. And if we end up doing a bunch of partial reps, then that's going to add to muscle fatigue, and that's going to carry through, because muscle fatigue isn't something that you experience. It's not something that you feel. It's at the muscle level, which is why many people can feel really fatigued, but it doesn't mean they're actually building muscle, because their muscles themselves haven't fatigued, and it could be like both different things. And that's why we want to make sure the training that you do is effective. Now, when it comes to the leg extension, for example, I gave Tracy single leg extensions, and she said she can't get them all the way to the top as she fatigues. And that is fine if you are pulling your butt into the seat and you have a little bit of a lean back here as well. It doesn't have to be this big. It can literally be just like a line. You can literally just have that as your position, because what you'll see is this, the quads attach. The quads attach both at the hip, and that's the rec fem, which is exactly why you'll notice with squats and with leg presses and any squatting movement, you never train the rec fem, which is this muscle. And that's because when you squat and when you do any squat pattern, you're keeping it the same length, because as you squat down, yeah, okay, you're stretching these muscles, but because you usually get your torso coming forward like that, it's keeping the quad at a relatively same length, which is why the leg extension is one of the only ones that train the rectus femoris. It is the only exercise, unless you do sissy squats, etc., where you have your hips extended, that muscle is getting trained. Which is why whenever I program like leg extensions, that's this photo, let's get rid of that one, leg extensions, I do want you to try to get as much of a lean back as possible. What I'm trying to get at here is that you're putting the muscle under the longest length, therefore it is in its most stretched position here. So this is doing length and ranges. Yes, ideally getting it up to the top is completing a full range of motion, but if we're doing partial reps, then we want it to be in the place that's going to create the most muscle tension, that creates growth, and that's going to be in the length and ranges. It's just that we need to keep in mind that it is going to add to fatigue, and you don't want to do so much of them that it literally doesn't get too much movement out of it. But if you're still coming up halfway and you're squeezing it as hard as possible at the top, that is completely fine. And yeah, it doesn't feel as burny or as engaged in that range of motion as it does at the top, but that's the same as saying, well, I feel hip thrusts more than I feel hinges or Romanian deadlifts. However, hip thrusts don't grow your glutes the same degree that Romanian deadlifts do, because Romanian deadlifts put them under the stretch, and it's way more effective as a global exercise than hip thrust, because that only trains them in a shortened range of motion, which is why I sparingly give them, unless there is a particular reason why I need someone to do hip thrust for other reasons, or whether there's like a knee issue, etc. But that's kind of the way it goes. So yeah, I'm a fan of doing it that way if that is going to push you closer to failure. With me, something with leg extensions is that they are really uncomfortable, so I typically don't really push myself to the level that I want to push myself, which is why my goal every single session is to always beat it by reps, to always beat it by resting less between like the little breathers that I do, because I have one set that just has like drop sets instead of doing like 2 sets or 3 sets. It's what you call extended sets. So there's different techniques like that. But if you make it a goal to always beat yourself in like the smallest of ways, if you know that you can still keep form, then go for it. But yeah, hope that helps.